In this lesson, you'll learn a simple piano riff you can use in any worship song or to cover times while the pastor is speaking or praying. There's only 4 notes in this riff, but it's incredibly versatile and beautiful. It's E, G, C, D. We're going to be playing in the key of C today. So E, G, C, D. And the right hand is just simply going to repeat this basic little arpeggio. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm holding the pedal while I play this riff, and I'm releasing it about once every time through. So then the piano and pad sort of sustain each of these notes and they bounce off of each other in a nice way. 3, 4. Let me play this once really slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then regular speed. Now on its own, it could start to get a little bit repetitive, but we're going to add in the left hand playing 2-note chords and moving through a simple chord progression. So there's 4 chords we're going to learn, and we're just going to play the 1 and the 5 note in each chord. So we're going to start off with the C chord. In the key of C, that would be called the 1 chord, and that sounds like this. C and G. Then A minor, the 6 chord, that's A, and E. We're leaving out the middle chord, the middle note, the 3rd. And then the 5 chord, which is G, G and D. And then lastly, the F chord, called the 4 chord, that's just F and C. So we're taking the same exact shape and we're just moving it to a new bass note. C, A minor, G, F. 1 chord, 6 chord, 5 chord, 4 chord. And while we move through this progression in the left hand, which is establishing entirely what chord we're playing, the right hand is just going to repeat that beautiful little riff. So let's put this all together, once at regular speed, and then I'll slow it down so you can practice along. Repeats. C, the 1 chord, A minor, the 6 chord, the riff's just going along, G, the 5 chord, and F, the 4 chord. Then back home to C, the 1. And we can end on C. So you could play that with different levels of intensity. It could be big and bold. Or it could be soft and tender. And you could slow the tempo down a little bit if you needed to, just to play underneath a prayer. You could stay on any one of these chords in the left hand for a while and just play that riff. You could work your way back up. The riff is really in the right hand, and the left hand is just providing the chords underneath it. So we're now on G, F, we go straight back to the 1 chord, C. So you can see how just having an intentionally chosen melodic idea in the right hand can unlock all sorts of different feelings, emotions in your band. So now let's go to another level and add a little bit more nuance and complexity to the left hand, while letting that right hand still just focus on the simple riff. So we're going to space out our left hand a little bit, fill a little bit more space, add some more low end, and just have a little bit more going on. So instead of just playing these simple chords, the 1 and the 5, we're going to insert a 3rd note to each of these positions. Let me teach it to you. So we're going to start off by playing C, and this is a nice full C chord. So it's a low C, G in the middle, and E, the high 3rd. And if that's a little bit of a stretch for you, you could play the octave instead, but I'd encourage you to work on building up that dexterity and get up to that high E. Then we're going to take this exact same shape and move it to our A minor. So A, E, C. And again, if that's a stretch, you could just play high A, but work on building that up to get up to that C. Same shape's going to take us down to G, G, D, B, and then down to our F chord, F, C, and A. So one more time through, here's our C, E on top, A, C on top, G, B on top, and F, A on top. Now we're going to bring this right hand riff right back in the exact same way. Here we go. Little tension there, and here, but back home it resolves so nicely on the 1, on the C chord. A minor, with that C on top, G with the B on top, very nice. And the F, A on top, and back down. Filling so much more space, but that right hand riff is still simple, so you're not going to get in the way of the melody. I'm able to talk over the top of this and it's not distracting or problematic, and the left hand is just filling space below where human voices typically talk or sing. So it's not going to get in the way of the vocal at all. It's just providing this foundation for everything else that's happening musically. And that's really the sweet spot for these kinds of moments, this sort of riff that you can have prepared. All right, ready to add something new? This next step is going to switch up the right hand riff just a little bit. We're going to be playing all of the same notes. So we were going 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeating. Now we're going to go up, back down, and then we're going to turn the phrase around. Let me play that so you know what I mean. So I'll play this really slow. E, G, C, D, back down to C, back down to G, E, and then an extra G, and then we flip. We start over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we start over. So you see how it kind of flips, goes down, and then just a quick pivot, and then right back to the top. And this is where we started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we sort of doubled the length of the phrase, the exact same notes, and added this sort of rise and fall and this quick little hint that we're starting over. And I'm going to play the left hand with that the exact same way, using these nice big open chords. And that extra little pivot moment is such a nice little musical hint that we're about to change chords, because it interrupts the pattern. We're rising and falling, and then we cut that short. It's just a little cue that something's going to change, and that feels really satisfying. You can add those little touches of melodic interest because they immediately land. There's no possibility for the listener to get confused, because what the melody hints at immediately happens when you interrupt that, and then you immediately explain why by changing chords. Your audience will feel it, but they won't notice it. And that's really a great thing with this kind of technique. Now let's make this practical for modern worship music. You could take this exact idea and use it in almost any modern worship song, especially slower tempo songs from bands like Hillsong, Elevation Worship. But this idea I find especially common in arrangements from the band Bethel Music. They often establish these very repetitive melodic ideas in the right hand, and then the rest of the band just riffs on and builds up and drops out while that riff stays consistent. So we're going to add one more layer of complexity here, because something that they do so well is playing one rhythm in the right hand and a slightly different rhythm in the left hand. It's called a polyrhythm, but it ends up just being this sort of feeling, this bed underneath. It's a little bit more complex, but this is my challenge to you. If you've hung on in the video so far and you've been playing along, give this a try too. You can watch this section a couple of times if you need to until you build up that confidence, but you can do it. So I'm going to play it for you first. You're going to feel it, and then we'll break down a little bit of what's going on technically. It's such a cool lift from this very simple place we've started, and I love this technique. It is all over modern worship music. So once you master it, you're going to find a use for it in the songs that your band is playing. You feel that difference? There's just this extra little bit of like dance or gallop that it brings, and that riff all of a sudden is almost a call and response with the midsection of the piano. Now this takes a little bit of finger dexterity and a good bit of hand independence. That just means one hand can do one thing and the other hand can be doing something pretty distinctly different. But it's good to push yourself into these things because they're going to grow your skill as a worship piano player. So let me play this first just really slow, and then we'll talk about exactly what's going on technically. Okay, so my thumb in the left hand is playing dotted eighths, repeated dotted eighths rhythmically while I'm playing these regular quarter notes in my right hand. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the meantime, my left hand is playing dotted eighth notes, which have the effect of sort of falling in between those notes. So let me see if I can do this here with just the thumb so you can hear this. And then with the bass notes in. So I'm playing several dotted eighth notes, and then when I get to that pivot point in the right hand, the only trailing E, G, I'm letting that dotted eighth pattern rest for just a second before we kick the entire thing off again. So I'm going to count in, and if you've been practicing this along with me and you feel confident, I'd invite you to play it along with me. Otherwise, you can back up the video a couple of minutes, keep practicing, and then when you're ready, let's try this together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once more. Very nice. Now, this kind of hand independence and interplay does take up more of your brain space. You might notice I'm not talking quite as much once I start adding in that polyrhythm as I was a couple of minutes ago. And that's okay. It's all right to spend a little bit more time and a little bit more thought to nail these more intricate parts. The important thing is giving them a try in a practice context, and then you'll start building up muscle memory. That's when you're thinking less and executing more. So whether you were able to follow along with that challenge right now, or you know you need some time before you're going to be able to pull it off, don't be discouraged. The fact that you're here watching this video trying to become a better worship piano player means that you will become a better worship piano player if you don't give up and you keep trying. And we have more videos like this one, beginner piano lessons, how to play pads, different piano chord shapes that you need to know. They're all linked up in a playlist that we've put in the description of this video. So you can keep learning and growing. Check out that playlist. Last thing I'll mention is the parts are only part of the equation. For this video, I've been using a beautiful worship piano sound and a couple of great warm pads. Now, if you have a hardware keyboard or software you like to use, it can be a challenge to find great worship sounds in that software. Everything you've heard from me today has not been coming from this keyboard. The keyboard is connected to my iPad, and the app called Sunday Keys is actually generating all of the great worship sounds you've heard. If you need help getting great worship sounds, Sunday Keys is a great way to do it. There's a link in the description so you can learn all about the app. I hope you'll check it out.